All right, welcome everyone. Thank you for coming tonight to our program, 3 Ways to Master Your Money Talk with Jessica Medina and Stephen Finney. We go ahead and turn it over to Jessica to get started.
Hello, everyone. You probably know me by now. My name is Jessica Medina. I'm an accredited financial counselor and former lawyer. I help lawyers figure out the money so they can pursue their true passions no matter the salary. But tonight, I'm really excited because Stephen Finney is going to be joining us, and he is a couples financial coach. So he's going to walk us through these 3 simple ways to master your money talk. This is not my specialty area. I work with a few couples, but having somebody who really is in the weeds in this and really understands the dynamics between couples when it comes to money, I think is such a wonderful resource. We're going into a very special time of year where there's lots of interesting conversations happening at dinner tables and happening around holiday spend. And, there might be stresses going on in families and in couples in particular. And I think it's going to be really helpful to hear from Stephen on these important issues. Just some housekeeping notes for today. If you have any questions, go ahead and pop them into the chat. We will be tracking them and making sure they get answered. Also, all of these personal finance webinars are available on the library's YouTube channel. It gave us a little bit of time to get this one loaded, but while you're waiting, you can check out the prior sessions on a whole bunch of finance topics. And Allison will have some information at the end of today's session of how you can get on the newsletter so you can stay up to date and join all of us live. And let me turn it over to Stephen.
Thank you both very, very much. Thank you, Allison and Jessica, for having me and for letting me share today. I am going to have a blast. It's going to be awesome. I really, really do love talking about this stuff. This is a hard topic for a lot of people to talk about, and it can be difficult in my relationship too. But I honestly love talking about it because it's so important and so critical. So this is 3 simple ways to master your money talk with your partner. Whether you're married, you're in a relationship, you're looking to get married soon, you've just been married for a while, wherever you are in your relationship journey, this will help you out with just a few tips to get on the same page with your partner about the money conversations that you all have, or maybe some that you don't have and need to have. And so I want you to know wherever you've been, I've probably been there or I've seen it. And so there is zero shame, there is zero judgment here. I promise you, I understand where you've been or where you're walking, and I totally feel for you wherever you're going through. So this is going to be an informal time. Please put any questions you have in the chat. I want to go ahead and ask where you're calling in from. I mean, I know this is, of course, the Alexandria Library, so I'm sure there's some of you around the Alexandria area, but I'm just curious, where else are you all calling in from? And I'm calling from down in Georgia, right here in the center of the state in Macon. I've just had a great time meeting Jessica and Allison and everyone. So let me know where you're from, and I'll just tell you my story and walk through some of that while you're typing. So I want to tell you my story briefly, because this is going to be relevant to what we're talking about, and give you some real world kind of thoughts about why I started this as a financial coach for couples, and kind of what my vision is for the business that I'm running, and why I started this in the first place. So give you some backstory on me. I'm 29 now, way back in high school. I was, getting through the high school jitters, figuring out where I'm going to go to college, what I want to do. Back in high school, a lot of people weren't taught very much personal finance stuff. Most schools didn't have a class about it, but I actually did. They actually taught us in our senior years about personal finance, and it really lit my world up on fire when it came to finances, because I just kind of had these assumptions in the back of my head about what you should do with your money, kind of just what I saw my parents do, what I saw other people do. And that's what we all do, right? We inherit kind of what our parents knew, and they didn't know everything, but they taught us whatever it is they knew, and all of that. So this kind of taught me some extra steps that I could learn to get control of my money better, to invest for the future, all of those good things. So the reason I bring that up is back then, even my heart was for family. I knew I was going to be married one day. I knew I was going to have kids one day. That was the plan. And so back then I couldn't do anything for my family because I didn't know them yet. But I knew that if I could at least focus and work hard to save and invest for them and their futures, I could be serving them then right now where I was in high school. And that was what I got really excited about. So I just tried as hard as I could. My parents gave me some direction and guidance on what to do and not to do. I tried to really save money during college and not go crazy. I gave up a lot of things in college just to focus on what was important to me. And so I saved this much money in a little IRA for retirement, and then this much money into another account for a house one day and invested that. So I went to this financial advisor. He met me in a McDonald's and I'm like 17, 18. And I don't know what he thought, honestly. I need to ask him what he thought that this little kid was coming to invest some money with him. I had, again, this much money. But that money started growing, and we got to put down our down payment for our first family home last year with that money that's been growing since then, and plus a little more for renovations. And all that was just because I had some education and some people to pour into me, and I had some parents to love me, and I had some motivation and desire to serve my family one day. So that's why I did all this, because I saw that I had a story. I saw that during that process of being married now for 3 years, which I'll show you in a minute, that's my wedding. We've been married now for 3 years. During this process, we've had to learn to get on the same page with money, because it was one thing to be learning and growing and saving for my future family. But this is like, okay, now that we're getting engaged, now that we're getting married, now we've been married for 3 years, it's learning to relate with each other about money. So that's what got me passionate and focused, because this is not an easy process. And again, they don't teach you how to do this. They just, you just go and you get married, you love each other, and then we just figure it out as we go, right? So it's one of those things you just have to learn as you go. Well, I'm hoping to help prevent those fights from happening in our relationships, and help resolve some of those. So that's us. That's our wedding. This is my favorite wedding picture of all of them. I kind of just told my wife I have this one in here, and she just kind of went along with it. So this is my favorite one. There's me almost driving away in the Gator there, and so and she's like, "Oh, you're about to dump me off this thing." Okay. Anyway, that was just funny. And then last year, this is our home that we bought, our family home. So that's me, and that's my story. I only say that to say that anything's possible. It just takes a little bit of education, some accountability, somebody to walk alongside you, and now I'm focused on what's next for our family. So I want to hit you with the first tip here. I want to make sure that I give you the most important things first. And so I'm going to break the rules, the unwritten rules of presentations. And the unwritten rule of presentations is don't give them the hardest thing first. I'm supposed to give you guys the easiest thing to think about first, just to ease you in, but I'm not going to do that. And I guess the reason why is because this is really critical. So I want to make sure that this, even though this is the hardest point of the 3 tips of how to have a better money conversation with your partner, it's going to be the most important. So bear with me. I just want you to take a deep breath for a second. Just ready for this one. You already see what it is. It's resolving the past. It's going to be okay. I'm here with you. And let's talk about what this means. When we're in our relationships, and especially when we're in our marriages, and especially as the years go by, it's easy for these resentments to start building up in our lives, especially around money. This could be something as simple as, I don't know, somebody didn't pay the credit card payment on time one time, or maybe it's been a couple times, or whatever it was. And those things build up resentments. And they can just, if you don't resolve them, they can start building and building. Eventually you have a point in time where you start fighting about something really silly, like who didn't load the dishwasher or something. And it's really not about that. It's about some of these things that have happened in the past and have not been resolved. Sorry, I'm just now seeing you guys say that you're in DC. Thank you so much for saying go Braves. I really appreciate that. We're having a blast down here with the Braves. Yeah, so this is really key. This is really critical, because we want to resolve those resentments ideally before they happen, or if they've been building, we want to make sure to call them out in a healthy way. So I'm going to give you some tips about this one. This is the hardest one. I just have to tell you, this is definitely the hardest one. Just write down or think about, take some time to process separately anything that you have resentments over, anything that triggers you as the weeks go by. Was it a bill didn't get paid? Was it we're still not saving towards that goal that's really important to me, but it's not really that important to them? Maybe for one of you, retirement is really important. Thinking about that is really important, and you're really stressing about it, and your partner really isn't. That's not as much of a priority or as important to them, or vice versa. It could be my partner wants to save everything that we make, and every single penny of it has got to be saved, but we have no life, and that's not okay. Like, those things and those emotions will come up if you just let yourself feel them. So just no self-judgment is allowed here. Don't judge your own feelings and emotions about what it is that you're feeling. Just let that happen for a minute. And again, you're not yelling all these things at your partner. You're just writing them down, just getting them out of your brain and out of your emotions into something you can see. So that's going to be the hard part. Just take some time to process and ask yourself some questions. What am I feeling? Is there anything that when we go over money or talk about money, I get triggered on, or they get triggered on, that causes some upsets, some arguments? And we want to tell your partner these things. I want to tell you that there's two sides to this story. There's letting them know that I had this resentment towards you and I'm sorry. Just start with that apology for having the resentment in there, because that's not, the fact that that resentment is there is not on them. That was on me as the person that had the resentment. Do you understand? So go and just have that. That just takes, it's going to take a hit to your pride. At least it takes a hit to my pride to say, hey, I had this and I went through this exercise and I just apologize. And then talk it out. Let them know you let that thing go and forgive them for that, and be able to move on. Whoops, that's the second one. And this is going to be really hard because it could be something where emotions are really high, right? So just really quickly, another quick tip to resolving one of these conflicts. If you have a money conflict or something's come up where you have some arguments going on, I just want you to, in those heated situations, if a fight comes up, or argument comes up, to take some time to process and to think clearly, because you don't want emotions high when you're trying to have a rational conversation. So if you possibly can, ask your partner to just take a step back and let's just have some time to process and think through these emotions. Okay. I want you to take any part of that conflict that you could have done better yourself, even if it was only 1% of the conflict, and take ownership of that. And it could have just been 1% in your mind, and they are 99% wrong, but 1% you could have done better. It's probably more than that, by the way. If you're honest, it could even be 20, 25, 30, 50%. When I ask myself, I'm like, I could have even been responsible for half this conflict. So if you're honest, you may say, oh, I could have done that a lot better, and go and own that, because that de-escalates all of those emotions. When you say, hey, I love you and I could have done this piece better and I'm sorry, period. Like no blame, no judgment, boom. That de-escalates a lot of that emotion. So that's a very, very quick tip. I will give you some stories of how this works in my life. I would like to ask some brave volunteer to be vulnerable and say, does anyone have a takeaway from this that they have, and they just think, yes, this makes sense, or I have a question about this, anything about this point that you'd like to know more about it that really just hit home for you. If you don't mind writing those things down, I'll tell you a quick story about how this works in my life. I'll try to tell you one that we did well and one we did badly. I think that would be a good thing to do. And these are all wife approved stories. So I've proved them, we're good. We're not going to get into a fight about this. So we're good. So I guess one conversation we had that did not go very well. We had a month where we did not set up our budget very well that month. And so in my mind, I'm stressing a little bit because I don't have full clarity on where our money is that month. Like, I know we've got the money, we're okay, but like, I don't know how much buffer we have, and we haven't really talked about what we're going to plan to spend the money on or save for this month. And it was a busy, crazy month. So it just got away from us. So with all that being said, my wife, her name is Shannon. She wanted to take a course for some self-development, some learning more about herself and how her personality works. And we do a lot of that. And so I've done a lot of that. She supported me on these kind of purchases. So it's not like it's out of the ordinary. And we had the money, but I was stressed and I wasn't totally sure that we had the money, even though we did. And I knew that, but I was just stressed. So she was like, hey, I was really interested in doing this course. It's X number of dollars, and I'd really like to do this thing. And I just kind of knee-jerk reacted, no, we don't have the money right now, because I didn't even realize it, but like my anxiety level was like an 8 out of 10. And so I just knee-jerk reacted. And as you can imagine, that didn't go so well. So I had to take some time and process. We were at someone else's house. So I did, that was not going to happen there. So as I processed, I'm like, look, I completely snapped at you, and that was the wrong thing for me to do. And I totally apologize. When we sat down and did the budget, hey, guess what? We've got the money to spend on that, and we can allocate that for that course. No big deal. But the fact that we hadn't gone through and done that work, even though she wasn't stressed, because she kind of knows where we're at, and she wasn't that anxious, but I really was. So I had to apologize for that one. And I guess the story of what we did well with this one, something happened the other day that we were able to de-escalate very quickly. we were going over our money budget. We do that on a weekly basis now. We didn't used to, but we now do that on a weekly basis. We put together, hey, what are we saving for? What are we spending? And we were playing off each other very well. So we had clarity on where everything was going. We felt like we were on the same page about where we were saving and spending. And so we didn't even really have a conflict to kind of just, in the past where there could have been a conflict, we were able to talk through those things that we needed to talk about and get through them together without a problem. So definitely better off than we used to be, and we're continuing to grow. Of course, you never graduate from this. There's always going to be conflicts, but that's some stories about how we've done that badly and how we've done that well. So on a week-to-week basis, we feel really good about money with each other, even when money's tight. It's we're on the same page because we talk about it often. So there's some stories. That was the hard one. Anyone have any takeaways or questions? Please put them in the chat. Do I have an agenda for our weekly meeting? Yes, I do. So I'll go over a little bit of that in the second point. But I'll go over that. I'll make sure to go over that in the second point. Yeah, thank you for asking. Anything else? And I will talk over point number 2. All right, another deep breath. If you're feeling a little bit like, oh, that was heavy. Okay, it's gonna be all right. We're over the hard part. That really was. And again, I'm just going to hit this home. The reason why this is so important to do first is because when you do these other tips, you want to make sure there's no conflict under the surface that hasn't been talked about yet, because we're trying to move forward together on the same page, on the same team. But if there's still some frustration and some resentment that hasn't been brought up in a healthy way and worked through, then it's going to be harder because it's going to be more likely to get triggered by the future things we're about to do. So again, hit that home. All right, point number 2 is this is choosing your environment carefully for your talks. So now we're going to talk about the practical, like we're ready to have our money conversations on a regular basis. This is what Jessica's just asking. Do you have an agenda for your weekly meeting? Yes, we do. This is about choosing an environment that's good for both of you. So when and where do you have the best conversations about money generally? Do you have a time and a place where you can feel more free to talk about these things? Is it at home with just the two of you in a really focused, part of the house, like on the dining room table? Like that's the place where I'm focused, I'm not distracted, and I can really think well about things. Is it on a weekend where you don't have to worry about work? Can you do this kind of conversation at night after dinner, or is that going to make you really exhausted? You see, so because you're going to need your brain for these conversations. And I don't know about you, but after dinner for me, my brain just decides to turn off and I'm just done. So just pay attention to when you're going to have some energy and you're going to have some ability to engage your partner on some potentially heavy stuff, but at least about where we're at with money. Pick a day and a time where you both can think clearly. That's what I was just talking about. You've got to figure out where it works for you both. Jessica says, the timing issue is so good. I'm the best in the morning and evening conversations don't usually go well. Yeah, that's pretty much what happens to me too. I just kind of rush through it and I kind of drag her with me and we just kind of go. That's not the best way to do that. So what we've decided to do, again, tell you a story of what we did well, good and bad. We used to do this like right in front of the TV at night after dinner. And my brain is just not having it at all. Like I just want to watch TV and go to bed. And so, or this is like right before we eat ice cream or some kind of dessert at night. And so I'm like, no, this is not going to happen. So we're starting to think about doing this on like Saturdays where we've got some time and some space and we don't have to rush. So yeah, very, very good. Okay, here's the third part of this. This is where I'll get into what we do on a weekly basis. So you may consider split the work into multiple sessions. So don't try to tackle everything in one money situation. Maybe have here's some ideas, have a money date. So set aside a date with your partner that's about money conversations in general, but you don't have to do, staring at a spreadsheet. You don't have to like focus on paying the bills or paying the credit card. Like go have a dinner, go do whatever's fun for you guys. Go out and have some fun, or just set some time away at house for have a money date and start dreaming together. One of you is probably better at the other than dreaming and figuring out where we're going as a couple, what our vision is for our family. Just statistically, one of you is better at the future. One of you is better at the moment. That doesn't always happen, but we like to marry people that are different from us. And so that's why I say that, because our partners usually have a difference than us. So whichever one of you is good at that, lead that conversation and figure out where do we want to be? What are our values when it comes to money? What I mean by values is, do we consider travel to be very important? Do we consider I don't know what it is right now. It could be a season where your kids are like really important and they're in a super busy part of their lives. And that's where a lot of money is going. Or is it a season of we need to figure out where we're saving for the future for like retirement or whatever it is? What are your values? Is giving a value for you? Like, where are you giving, and is that important to you, and why? So talk through those things about values, vision, and just where you're going. So you may have another session where you're at home, you're locked away, and we do the budget setup. And again, we like to do this weekly because it's just right now it's easier to have control over a single week than it is for a full month. And so we like to say what bills are coming in, what's coming out, and what are we saving? And, we have this much money for groceries, we're going to go get out. And then you can have one for making sure the bills are set up on auto pay or whatever you want to do with your bills, and that your credit card's paid whenever that comes in. And then you can have one more session for savings goals. Where do we need to save? What are we saving for? Making sure you have money set aside for that. So there's no one right answer here, but there's a lot of different ways you can go about it. So for us, our agenda is set aside each week, and we say what's coming in bill wise, what's going out bill wise, who's getting paid and how much they're getting paid. And then do we need to set aside savings goals this week or not? We usually do that like 2 times a month, maybe once a month, where we set aside money and transfer it to a separate savings account. We don't, and the credit card, we deal with that once a month when it comes in, and we make sure it gets paid properly. So that's how we do that. Other questions, other thoughts? I kind of gave you my stories of how we do this. So anyone have a takeaway, any questions before I move on to the third one? I was trying to think of any other stories about this one that we have. I had a couple that told me they went to like a bistro down the street that they really liked, and they had a money date that way. They had just a lunch or a brunch on like a Saturday morning. That was really nice for them. So have something like that you want to do, or have something like you kind of build it into date night where you do part of the money conversation, then you go see a movie or something like that, just to kind of reward yourselves for opening that door a little bit. So how do you do this without spreadsheets? I always want data with me. Yes, I know. So split it up into different sessions, because one of the sessions can be more of the, open-ended conversations, visioning, and you can have something to take some notes with. But then, you're going to have to dig into some numbers. So the next session is going to be, you'd have to have a way to do it where you're at home or you're somewhere where you can pull out a computer and look over each other's shoulders, like a coffee shop or something like that. But it can't be like a dinner date, unless, I guess it could be. If y'all want to be that couple at a restaurant, you can absolutely do that. It's all up to you. Yeah, totally great question. Did that make sense, by the way? Hope so. All right. So kind of leading into what I was talking about earlier about one of you and the other having, I had some homework here. Set a time and date on your calendar to have a money date. So this is committing to having a time and a date to just go and have a money date with your partner. Set it tonight if you can, and say, we're going to go do something fun and just talk about where we're at. And then you can have weekly or bi-weekly stuff after that to really get your budget straight. Okay, now I'm going on number 3. Number 3 is leading on each other's strengths. Here's the thing about this one. Both of you have critical perspectives to your finances and how your finances should work. Not just one of you. And here's what I mean by that. Again, we marry people that are different from us, right? So the chances are one of you are the nerd that likes the data in the spreadsheets, like Jessica and me. We're both the nerds. We're the financial coaches. So we're statistically more likely to be the nerds. And one of you is going to be the more in the now present focus, wanting to enjoy your lives. Because to be frank, I would love to save every penny of everything that I own. And I'm the nerd on that. My wife likes to actually enjoy her life and have a life. So she balances me out. There's a balance there. And so Jessica says, my husband is the most fun and that's why I love him. Exactly. Like, they're going to be different from us. And that's why we fell in love with them to begin with. So, so when I'm stressed out, and when I am, like I told you the story a minute ago, I was stressed about money because we didn't have the budget set exactly right. And I just didn't have clarity on it. She was okay. And she could kind of calm both of us down once I was able to go to her and apologize. we're able to calm down together and be okay. So she will help me be in the moment when I'm stressed about the future. She will help me not save for 15 things at one time because that's not practical. I'll try to save for 10 things at one time because I'm like, oh, we need to save for all of these. Let's just do it. She's like, that's not a good thing to do. We need to focus. So she just helps me, calm down, focus on what's important, actually enjoy our lives while we're saving for retirement and not just have no fun and have no life at all until we get to retirement. You know what I mean? So we've got a lot of life left to live before we get there. There's a balance to these things. So leaning to each other's strengths. Don't be afraid or ashamed of your own strengths. So I'm the nerd and I love being the nerd. I can dig into the numbers. I could get control over clarity on where our numbers are, where our finances are. I can tell you where we're at and what we need to be saving for. And given this much in retirement, we should be saving this much. I got it. So I'm good. She's not so good at that. She could do it. She would just hate it. So she can lean on me for that. I can lean on her to help clarify our values as a couple. I can lean on her to help us kind of audit where we're at. Do we need to be focusing on something else? Like sometimes I get lost. I can't see the forest for the trees. I'm looking at the future so strongly. I can't see what's right in front of us. And so she helps us understand, hey, this thing right in front of us is important. We need to remember this. So first point on this is your partner has unique strengths that you don't have, so use them. Realize that both of you are critical to having a healthy relationship with money together because you two have different perspectives. You're not going to have exactly the same perspective, exactly the same past when it comes to money. List out here all your money to-do list items that you can think of. I have a worksheet actually for y'all, and I didn't put the link in here. I want to put the link in here. This is a worksheet that you can download. It's a PDF that kind of gives you some extra things to think about with these various topics. And one of these is going to be a few example money to-do list items. Obviously they could be paying the bills, make sure the credit card's paid, but make sure the budget's filled out, go get, if you're doing cash for groceries and stuff like that, we're trying that out, go get cash for the groceries or get cash for whatever it is. There's a whole lot of different items. Make sure we have enough money saved for Christmas because guess what? It's almost around the corner. Do we have money saved for Christmas, etc. And list those things out. Split these items between you and make sure to add your own. So this idea here is not to split them necessarily evenly or not to say who's better at what than the other, but just what is more comfortable with for you when you look at these items. Are you more comfortable with the details and paying the bills and getting everything straight and getting the budget filled out? Are you more comfortable with the making sure that, we have the right things that we're saving for, making sure that we have enough to spend on a regular basis and actually enjoy our lives, making sure that doing the Christmas shopping or making sure our values are aligned and correct, like making sure there's all these different things, making sure that we have money that we can spend to fix the house up. We have a lot of stuff around the house we need to deal with these days. So there's a lot of different items, and look at the worksheet. There's these intangible items too. Like I said, the values and things are intangible that you're good at it too. So try to express those things. So I'm talking a lot. So anybody else have any thoughts and questions on that? Any takeaways from that one? I'll share another couple of stories, good and bad, for this one too. So when we are doing this well, when we're really aligned and leaning on each other's strengths, we have a good budget meeting, a good regular meeting. We have the details figured out and our savings goals figured out, and we know where we're going as a couple. Everything's there is accounted for. We have some money to spend that's in a separate spending account that we don't have to worry about. The money's there. She and I get to go and have some fun and pick up some stuff for the house. We get to go out to eat where we want to go out to eat and go to a movie if we want. She helps me staying grounded in those moments, helps me to understand that it's okay to go and take a weekend away on vacation, for example. We do that now more than we ever have. That's something I just would never do on my own. And I'm so happy that she helps me with those things because it's a good balance and helps me stay grounded and helps me rest, whenever it's time to rest. So we have a good, healthy, balanced relationship when it comes to money when we're doing it well. When we're not doing it well, some kind of stress gets involved. Sometimes it'll be, I'm not sure, maybe we're late doing the budget meeting that week and we just are late. So I'm starting to stress about it. Or what's another thing that happens sometimes? If we do it at night, if we do it too late at night, like I said before, my brain just goes to mush. So I just start rushing through it and I'm just dragging her with me through the numbers so we can get it done. And that's not super healthy. So that doesn't go very well because she's just feeling like you're just dragging me through this. We're not doing this together as a couple. So that sometimes can get in the way. But so there's your when things are going well, when things are not going well for you. I'll be as vulnerable as you want me to be this tonight. So y'all can ask me anything. Okay. Any takeaways for that one? Let me see what my next slide is. I can't remember. Oh, okay. Yeah, I do have another slide. So here's another thing to think about. You two may have some common weak points, and that's something to consider thinking about getting some help for. And not help as in you two are deficient and you two need help, but like get some assistance, get a third party to help you see things clearly whenever there's a part of this that maybe you're not doing so well with or you'd like to do better at. So everybody's different. This could be so different for everyone, but let me give you a couple examples. It could be that neither one of you are particularly detail oriented. And so both of you hate dealing with the budget. And I don't want to download an app. I don't want to put a spreadsheet in place. That both of you are just like, I would rather do anything than deal with those details. That's fine. So just call that out and then consider getting help from someone, a financial coach like me or Jessica. It doesn't matter if someone else is fine, but get some help and some clarity and a third party to help you see those things clearly. There are certain couples where credit and credit cards can get dangerous. And so it can be difficult to stay on top of those things easily, and they start to get away from us quicker. So it just depends on who you are. You may be totally great with credit. Everything may be going fine, or you may be just like super in debt up to your eyeballs and you don't know what to do. And again, there's no shame. Everybody's different. And so when you have those things coming up where you're like, man, neither one of us are doing great with that, then consider getting a third party to help walk through this with you. And that's what coaches are for. So we can help you walk through those things together. We're on your team, we're on your side, and we can help you through. So, or you're just dealing with a relationship issue where it's like we keep trying to talk about this and we keep fighting over and over. Well, I can help you. There are therapists and counselors that can walk through there with you. They're there to be a third party and to just be neutral and to love you both. So that's the last thing I want to make sure that you knew about that. Okay, takeaways. All right, time for somebody to be vulnerable with me. So what's one word you're feeling right now? And what's your one favorite takeaway? If you had to pick a word you're feeling, it could be any word that you want, and any favorite takeaway of yours, what would those be?
Well, for me, I'm a financial coach, and I'm also terrified to go through this process with my husband.
Yep.
Now that
Yep.
I see what the steps really look like, because I definitely skip immediately to step 2. And it's like I'm armed with my spreadsheets, and that is not a comfortable situation really for anyone to be in. Even my clients prefer something other than going through my spreadsheets. And so, I think, but that first step of resolving past resentments is so important, because you do carry it through, future conversations. And I love that you actually gave a process, because people say all the time, well, just, you have to release all of the old stuff before you can move forward. I'm like,
right.
What does that mean? What does that look like?
What do you do?
So, and the handout is great. And I'm already going through it and looking at, I loved how you broke down, there are all these things that people can handle about money that have nothing to do with tracking spending. They have nothing to do with the data. It has to do with, using money in a way that enriches your life, and making sure those things happen. Those are, I think those are really, really great points that are sometimes lost in the personal finance world.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I want to call it out too, that spending is a strength, even though y'all that are natural spenders sometimes don't feel like it, and your partners probably don't feel like it sometimes. It is, because I'll tell you, I'm actually bad at spending money. It causes me stress. I don't like it. I'm like, I don't know what it is. It's just like, there's $100 and I just gave it away. I'm like, oh, now I don't have the $100 anymore. It doesn't matter what it went to. So it's a strength that you know how to enjoy your freaking life. So please take that away. That's a good thing, and you should be proud of that. So not you, Jessica, you and me are nerds. So, but everyone else. But yes, thank you. And it is terrifying, and that's totally legit. It really, really is. And it doesn't happen overnight. So it's just a practice. So, yeah.
But this was really great. I really enjoyed all of the tips. Like I said, I work with couples, but it's not my specialty area. And so, if there is a couple that really is having trouble having those conversations, I think making sure that you're working with someone who really understands those dynamics and can, help you see your way through without hurting each other along the way is really, really key to success across the board in this area.
Yeah, I appreciate that very much. Let's see, one word I'm feeling right now. I'm feeling grateful. I'm very grateful to share this with you guys. I have a lot of fun doing this. I can't even explain why. I just really do. Because this is a really vulnerable topic, and most people will be like, I don't want to talk about that. I'm like, yeah, I really do. So I'm really, really grateful. My one favorite takeaway from this, my favorite takeaway of them all is the first one, is just resolving the resentments, being able to go and just take the bullet and say, hey, I was wrong with this part of the argument. That's my takeaway. It always is. All right. Okay, great. Okay, I forgot there are more slides. All right. So what I offer, just what I do, I have a clarity session with me personally, with getting on the same page and the same team about money, stop fighting about money, get on a flexible money system that both of you will enjoy. There is a way for you nerd savers and you spenders to get on the same page and both actually have some fun. So there's a flexible way to do it. And whichever one you are, just own it. It's awesome. And then having a clear plan for debt payoff and saving for life events. So any of those things, I got you. That's what I do. Here's how to find me. And there's a funny picture of me giving you a thumbs up. And so there's my email, website, finneyfinancial.com. You can find me pretty much anywhere with the words Finney Financial. And then you can always email me directly at stephen@finneyfinancial.com. That's me. And then Allison, it's your show.
So as usual, we do have an update on what's happening at the library. She seems to have something new
every month.
So our latest update is that during the week and Saturdays, starting November 29th, we will be opening at 10 o'clock instead of 11 o'clock every morning. Sundays will still be opening at 1 o'clock. Do be aware that different branches have different days that they are open. So do check our website, alexlibraryva.org, to find out which branches are open on which days. Of course, Beatley is open every day. So at the Beatley Library, where I am, we are open Monday through Friday. It will be at 10 o'clock starting on November 29th. And then, of course, Sundays at 1 o'clock.
Oh, and libraries could be a great place for a money date. They're quiet, they have some nice lounge spaces and lots of money books available for reference.
Sure.
So you can also visit our website, alexlibraryva.org/virtual, for more information about our virtual programs like these. We do also have some outdoor programs going on, which can be found at alexlibraryva.org/events. You can find information about our digital collection at alexlibraryva.org/digital-collection. We do have digital ebooks, digital audiobooks, digital magazines, digital music. So most of the things you can get physically, you can also get through our website with your library card. If you would like to be added to our financial events email list, you can email me at reflib@alexlibraryva.org. Every month we'll send out an email with all the upcoming events. Like I said, most of them are virtual right now, so you can watch them from anywhere. You can also visit our YouTube channel. We do have a financial literacy playlist, which this program will be added to. And you can also find updates on upcoming events and programs at our website, alexlibraryva.org. So thanks again, guys, for this presentation. Stephen, thanks for joining us tonight. Jessica, thanks for arranging it. This was great, and I look forward to more programs in the future. So.
Yes, we will be taking a break on personal finance to let you guys get all your holiday spending in. And we'll see you in January to clean it all up.
See you all very soon. It'll be awesome.